It's Lynn. Happy Friday. So this week we've been talking a bit about hormones and a little bit about sugar. So I wanted to talk to you again today about this very thing and linking the two a little bit. So just imagine this scenario. Your alarm goes off at 7, 6, maybe 5 if you're unlucky enough. You roll out of bed, you're always in a rush. So you're trying to get to work, you grab a muffin. Key here, lots of sugar. So then you grab your coffee with your creamer and sugar for breakfast, more sugar. So by the time you get to 10 o'clock, because you only had a muffin with lots of sugar, you grab maybe a leftover bagel, again, lots of sugar. And at noon, you have a sandwich on white bread, again, more sugar. So you go home that evening, maybe you and your special other person have a date night. You're going to have a few glasses of wine, sugar. You're going to have some pasta, more sugar. And then, wait for it, you can't help it, but you want some dessert as well, right? So with a scenario like this, we have to really realize that our society is addicted to sugar. It's just everywhere. It's not just if you're taking in sugar in coffee, it's in everything, even in obvious places like yogurt, tomato sauce, healthy protein bars. And to maintain healthiness, sustained energy, weight, clear brain, and hormone balance, your blood sugar needs to be balanced throughout the day. So you can imagine that scenario. If you're thinking about it, you've got sugar, 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 sugar all the way through. And so that leaves you feeling frazzled, exhausted, you're hungry all the time, your hormones are in overdrive, and you're struggling to feel your best day in, day out. So, let me ask you, is that you? Is that how you feel? Because I know I lived a lot of my life like that. So as I said in the group, if there was a society like there is for Alcoholics Anonymous, for Sugar Addicts Anonymous, I really should be in that group. So, I told you in that post, I was so addicted to sugar that I was a closet binger. So I would hide it places where probably it really wasn't hidden. I would get really angry if people took my chocolate stash because I felt almost panicked, because what would I do without that chocolate all to myself, or that sugar? And then I'd hide away in the bedroom or some other place so that I could eat that sugar so that nobody saw it. But really, you're not hiding it at all. So I try to be really honest when I'm keeping a journal for myself with my foods, whether I log it in through MyFitnessPal or if I was writing it down. And side note here, I do use MyFitnessPal, but I use it mostly to track my nutrition, not because I believe in counting calories, but it's really helpful with the nutrition portion of it. And I always try to be really honest. So, I'm not kidding myself into thinking, hey, I've had a really good day of eating today. I don't need to worry about what else I'm going to eat. So, it's really obvious when we're eating refined sugar, right? We know that causes weight gain. But have you ever thought about how the effect of that sugar is also affecting your hormonal health? So if you're eating the refined sugars, it can cause headaches, digestive issues, PMS symptoms, cramps, acne, brain fog, and much more. We just mentioned energy. That's a huge thing. So if you find yourself pining for some kind of sweet snack, just minutes after you've finished a well-rounded meal, well, that's sugar addiction actually catching you right in the act. You really can't hide from it. So many of us don't know why after we've eaten we're craving, but maybe you're addicted to sugar. So sugar addiction is very real. In fact, science backs it up. You can check it out in the British Journal of Sports Medicine. They have a really good research editorial in there. But it's very comparable to codeine or narcotics, any other kind of cocaine addiction, that would be a big one that you can compare it with. And we don't ever think, when we think of sugar, that we're addicted to it. We don't think of the effect it has on our brain, but it has a similar effect to the effect cocaine has on your body. So withdrawal symptoms, when you're trying to get off it, are very similar to when you're a cocaine addict and you're trying to get off cocaine. And, you know, it's not all in your head. It's really a very real thing. So you may not have thought about it, but the average person unknowingly consumes 82 grams of sugar per day. That's 19.5 teaspoons every day. So no wonder we're addicted to it. So the effects on our health are disastrous. I've known that firsthand with my migraines, with my weight, with my hormones, and then with becoming addicted to it. So our body uses sugar in the form of glucose for quick bursts of energy. So years ago, they used to use quick bursts of energy to do things like, you know, thousands of years ago, running away from animals, threatening animals. And then their cortisol levels would rise, so that would increase the amount of glucose that was released into the bloodstream, and then it quickly burned off after the escaped attack. So the sugar in their blood would get used up and their blood sugar would return to baseline. So back then, sugar was only found in the form of fruits and berries, and they were a rare treat for people, not a daily indulgence like it is for us nowadays. So when the modern human being like us consumes sugar for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert, thanks to the food industry, it's the sugar's seeping into pretty much everything. And, you know, you have to ask the question, what really is happening to our bodies when we're eating all that sugar? So when we consume simple carbs or refined sugar, it spikes our blood sugar. There's no nutritional value whatsoever in the sugar itself, nor is there any fiber in that, so it's not really helping us to regulate our insulin. Now, insulin is the hormone that regulates our blood sugar, and if it goes into overdrive to clean up the mess in our bloodstream, we have all kinds of problems. So soon after, when we've had this spike of energy because we've taken in all this sugar, then our blood sugar crashes, and that causes us to crave even more sugar and more carbs before our blood sugar goes back to its baseline. So we're on a continual roller coaster, up and down, up and down. So when our blood sugar is spiked, the insulin floods the bloodstream. This is the science behind it. And over time, your blood sugar stops responding to the insulin. And because the insulin is constantly in the bloodstream, sugars don't get removed. And that's what leads to things like diabetes, brain fog, exhaustion, constant hunger, and even depression. And that's not even all of it, because after you consume sugar, your immune system is depressed for a few hours. So you're susceptible to catching colds, to being around illnesses that you're more likely to come into contact with that would have an effect on you. And refined sugar is also known for stressing your adrenal glands. And that's what regulates your cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and aldosterone, which controls your blood pressure. And your thyroid, which secretes hormones responsibly, that actually maintains your metabolism. All of these levels, when they're out of whack, they all have an effect on your hormone levels. They leave you feeling exhausted, wired, anxious, all different kinds of things. So not only that, but sugar attacks the collagen, which, as you know, as we get older, we rely on for our nice skin, for the elasticity in the skin and for repairing dead skin cells. So when we've got an excess sugar consumption, it can cause the aging effect. So clearly sugar has an effect on our hormones, on our aging process, on our blood sugar, our insulin levels, just so many things. But sugar also depletes B vitamins in our body, the natural stores that we have, which we really need for our mental health and for our overall energy levels. So without them, we have we're left with feelings of anxiety and depression. We feel increased feelings of anxiety and depression. We are more likely to have insomnia. Our cortisol gets out of whack, and our sex hormone production declines. Yep, so bye-bye libido as well. So some people, when they're younger, it can actually cause fertility issues. So actually, excess sugar is actually linked to worse PMS problems, headaches, migraines, cramps, irritations, and moodiness. So your hormones basically get out of whack. So as we've discussed, when you're in midlife, we're really trying to keep our hormones on track, right? Because we're already dealing with enough because our hormones are all over the place. So try to correlate your sugar intake with how you feel hormonally. So for a lot of people, when you have sugar, you get that surge of energy. So for me, actually, if I have a lot of sugar, I actually feel very tired. So definitely sugar will have an effect on your hormones, on your energy levels. So in this group, we try and talk about our weight loss. We try to talk about how we want to have natural energy and feel better. So just start thinking about what you're eating, because in the processed foods, there's nothing you can do about it. Processed foods are absolutely loaded with sugars, refined sugars, processed sugars, everything that you really don't want to be taking in. So it's not just a case of the candy that you eat or the chocolate that you eat or the desserts that you eat. It's everywhere in all of our foods, which is one of the reasons why I like to stick to a diet that's nothing but pure whole foods. And so where I used to have that 3 p.m. slump, I would literally fall asleep at my desk when I was working full time, very embarrassing at times. I never knew what real energy was. I'd get up in the morning tired. I'd be fighting to keep my eyelids open in the afternoon. I'd come home from work and I was exhausted all the time. I never related it to my sugar intake. But when I changed my diet and changed my lifestyle, it made a huge difference. So one time in the last year have I found myself in that same place where I was exhausted by the mid-morning, and something had happened over the weekend, I think, that really kind of got me stressed out and eating more candy than I should have done, and it really had an effect. Every time I get into that kind of mode, it solidifies for me the effect that sugar has on our lives. So as we go into midlife, we really want to take care with our sugar intake, because we don't, scientifically it's been proven, we don't want to take in all of that additional sugar, which is going to mess with your hormones. So that's me on my soapbox about sugar for today. I know that was a lot of knowledge, a lot of fact information in there for you, but if you have any questions, just post them below. So there was a post underneath where this live will come out that was giving you a free sugar. I think that's the one I gave you that has got some recipes in there, so you can still have your healthy sweet things, but all you have to do is download it. There's no sign up for anything. So I will drop the link under here again for you, so that if you want to take advantage of that, you can. So I'd love for you to put in here #live, #replay, and thanks to those of you that joined me live today. I'm going to be starting a new hormone series in a couple of weeks. If it's something that you're interested in, be on the lookout for that. And so do me a favor and invite a few friends to join us here in the group, because it's only going to be available in the group. If you know some people coming up into their early 40s, 50s, and they're struggling with midlife, they're struggling with fatigue, with sugar, with weight gain, then please invite them to join us here. And please make sure that you invest some time here in the group and connect with one another, because the more that we talk to one another, we can support one another throughout this whole midlife process that really doesn't have to be hard to maneuver. So thanks for joining me, and I appreciate you being on the live. I appreciate those of you being on the replay. I will talk to you one day next week, probably Wednesday. Not quite sure what time yet, but I'll try to post it here for you. So have a great weekend. And as always, coming up for the weekend, make sure you take some time for yourself so that you can refresh and rejuvenate and feel great for the next week. This is Lynn from Holistic Health and Wellness. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.